Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Is Friday surpassed 205,000, and that was breaking a record set the week before. Hospitalizations were at record levels in a number of states, including Oregon, Washington, Indiana, and Pennsylvania. So I guess the question is this what a dark winter looks like, or do you forecast that this is going to get worse in coming weeks?
Well, I want to be straight with the American people. It's going to get worse over the next several weeks, but the actions that we take in the next several days will determine how bad it is or whether or not we continue to flatten our curve. And right before Thanksgiving, we actually saw cases start to plateau in many states that have been aggressively mitigating. And as I mentioned, there are steps you can take right now. But I also want people to know there's hope. We are mere weeks away from starting to vaccinate the vulnerable, and we can significantly protect people who are at risk for this virus. So hang on just a little bit longer. Understand that the science out there has never been stronger to support the wearing of masks. You shouldn't have to have a mandate to do the right thing, to protect your neighbor, to keep schools open. Make sure you're watching your distance, and make sure, again, if you've been in a gathering of more than 10 people without your mask on over the last several days, please get tested in the next 3 to 5 days.
Do that. Get tested in the next 3 to 5 days. We bid a fund. That was Jerome Adams, our Surgeon General, telling you it's going to get a little bit worse after Thanksgiving, a surge within a surge or some such thing. But there's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. It's called a vaccine, and we know that Moderna and Pfizer have applied for emergency use authorization, and that the lieutenant general in charge of Operation Warp Speed is telling us that we can expect to get vaccinated in June. So, okay, we bid a fond farewell to Dr. Scott Atlas, who quit his job, evidently to join his herd. Scott Atlas, the guy who, said, do nothing. Do absolutely nothing, President Trump. Don't do a thing. And, we'll get herd immunity is what it is. We'll get herd immunity. And I'm going on Russian television to tell the Russians this is America's plan, is to kill us all. And so he left before he accomplished his goal of killing us all. So he just has to hope that Donald Trump will, finish that job in the short time that he has left. I mean, it's unbelievable. So now what we need is a stimulus package to get us through to June. That's what we need, a stimulus package to get us through to June. And it turns out that a bipartisan group of senators decided that they would put together a new stimulus plan. It's worth over $900 billion. But it's really worthless because it will never happen. So there's that. I mean, listen, you got to take joy where you can. We're almost rid of Trump, and as an emotional stimulus, you just can't do much better than that, can you? No. But we need an economic stimulus, and so the shocking part of it is not that, it's worth $908 billion. No, because what's needed is $2 trillion, right? So the 908, that takes advantage of the $500 billion that's just sitting there because Steve Mnuchin, as I'm sure you heard, decided to claw back $500 billion from the original CARES Act and force Congress to have to reappropriate it. So this bipartisan group of senators decided, well, let's reappropriate it. And we'll add another $400 billion, and it'll be a whole lot less than what we thought we would have to fork over in the first place, because now he's clawed back to 500. It's just such a scam. Everything they do is a scam, including the fact that there's a bipartisan group of senators. Really? Where are they? Come out, wherever you are. You better find them before they crawl back into the forest and under the mushroom. That's the shocking part. The shocking part is that there is a group of bipartisan senators. I need a photo. I need to put that on my Instagram. And I never Instagram. I just don't do it. I don't know why. Not in the mood. But an effective package would be about $2 trillion. And the fact that that would be effective is exactly why Republicans are against it. They don't want anything effective. They're not in the mood for effective. They lost the election. They lost their, fearless leader. And so they don't want to see a Democrat do what Democrats do, clean up their mess. They don't want Joe Biden to have a chance to turn around the economy. They want to punish Americans for not choosing Trump. But the joke's on them because there was no worse punishment for Americans than re-electing Trump. Meanwhile, Canada just passed the biggest economic relief package since World War II. And Germany is building the facilities to begin vaccinations of 1,000 people a day per facility. Well, at least we have someplace to go, right? We have someplace. Just be very grateful that Trump did not build his 9 miles of wall on the northern border. But he's focused on, providing economic relief. Don't think he's not. He is. For himself. He has raised $170 million on his bogus election fraud claims. There is a certain genius to this, where you could perpetrate a massive fraud with claims about massive fraud. You know why they're still filing these crazy lawsuits? And they are. Sidney Powell, who's not part of the team. Oh, no, she's too radical. She's too whatever. Stealing the spotlight from Rudy. I don't know. She was on Hannity last night, okay? And she is still filing lawsuits. And she's doing it because Donald Trump has figured out a way to monetize failure. He has literally figured out a way to monetize his failure. That could be the biggest revenue stream in the history of the United States of America, Trump's failures and monetizing it. I mean, the lawsuits are piling up, right? They're being rejected. And as they're being rejected, it's like the Lucy episode in the Candy Factory. Speed it up, roll them. She's filing even more. So as the lawsuits pile up, so does the cash. So does the cat. This man has turned a professional grievance into an empire, a profession, giving a whole new definition to Trump supporter. You understand? You're really supporting him. I mean, like financially supporting him. He has managed to become a professional victim. A professional victim, where not only do the rich, sleaziest of the sleazy lawyers get rich, but Donald Trump gets rich too. The plaintiff, the sleazy plaintiff, gets even richer than the sleazy lawyers. That's a first, I have to say. That's a first. But when you consider that being a victim is his area of professional expertise, and how many people he's turned into victims? Victims of death, victims of long-haul COVID, victims of poverty, victims of job loss through no fault of their own. People are going to be kicking themselves, saying, "Why can't I turn my, victimhood into a, Donald Trump has become a giant GoFundMe. RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.